The PlayStation Store is running two great sales right now. The PlayStation Essential sale, which we've already covered in 2 videos, looking at games that are under the price of $5 and $10. However, they are also running the PlayStation Plus special sale. That sale specifically is going a little bit under the radar because a lot of it is VR-oriented games. However, across both of these sales, there are some tremendous games, including the special sale, and some of the games on sale as a part of the special sale, yes, they have a VR component, but they're completely playable without VR. I am gonna mention some VR-specific titles, but that'll come at the end of the video, so you can tune that out, and we're gonna go over a total of 15 deals, and only 4 of those deals are geared for just VR players. A lot of great deals to go over, and again, we looked at the Essential sale with 2 previous videos, so check that out, but now we are removing the caps of price restrictions, so bear that in mind and let's get into it. First up, while Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is only 25% off, it is still such a great deal that I have to recommend it. Already at the $19.99 base price, Horizon Zero Dawn is a terrific buy, but 25% off knocks it down to just $15. Now, I don't believe this is the cheapest it's been. I do believe it was once down to like $11.99 or something crazy like that. But if you've yet to check out Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a great game. The Complete Edition includes the Frozen Wilds expansion, and that legitimately adds another 8 to 10 hours of content, so it's a sizable expansion. The base game is great story here. Some of the gameplay elements are lacking a little bit, but Guerrilla set a fantastic foundation for what without a doubt will be one of the prominent PlayStation franchises going forward, and you should definitely check out the Complete Edition for $15, a great buy here. Moving on from that, how about a game that last year took the gaming world by storm in Dead Cells? It's 30% off down to $17.49. Yes, not a steep discount, but Dead Cells rarely goes on sale, so I have to recommend it even when it gets a small discount, and Dead Cells is a great game. Initially, when I played the game, I was captivated by the visual style and the presentation, but the gameplay hadn't really absorbed me in until I died a couple of times. The game was rearranged, I got some cool abilities, and then you realize, okay, this game is really addicting. I know people that have spent north of 100 hours in this game. I personally have spent around 40, and there's still reason for me to go back and check the game out. Dead Cells is a great game, love the art style. Yes, it's challenging, but very rewarding at the same time, and it has a lot of variety in how you tackle the game. Again, $17.49, a little bit steep, but easily worth it. Moving on from that, I'm sure you guys know that Dying Light 2 is dropping this year, and if you've yet to play Dying Light 1, you need to fix that ASAP. The base game is down 40% to $11.99. Now, ideally, I would have liked the following Enhanced Edition on sale. Unfortunately, that game is not on sale, but the base game for $12 is still a really good buy. This is an open-world parkour zombie game. Kinda sounds a little bit generic at first, but they really nailed the parkour elements. Technically, the game looks great, and for zombie buffs, it's definitely worth the buy. I imagine that Dying Light 2 will be a significantly better game, but I would recommend you to play this game ahead of the second game's release. Moving on from that, let's talk about a game that some people have bought twice or maybe even 3 times in Grand Theft Auto 5. It is 50% off for $14.99. This was a game that held up in value for so long. It was $59.99 until earlier this year, where it finally had its MSRP drop to $29.99 ahead of RDR2's release. Now discounted to $14.99. Of course, GTA 5 is a great game, and whether you're experiencing the game for the first time, I'd be shocked if that's the case, but hey, I'm sure some people are in that boat, or you just want to revisit GTA 5. It's a great game with a lot of content. GTA Online, a little bit of a mixed bag, but reason to play that as well. For $15, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, so easy to recommend that. Next up, we've got one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, arguably the best. Persona 5 is 50% off for $24.99. I've talked about this game in depth. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know how I feel about it. It is a tremendous game, and every element that a JRPG tries to nail, Persona 5 really hits it to a T. Great storytelling, awesome presentation. Yes, it's got turn-based combat, but that turn-based combat feels modern and fresh. The music is excellent. The character development is great. There's a variety of content, so yes, while it's a game that can span over 100 hours, it always feels fresh and exciting, and that is paramount to a JRPG's success. Persona 5 is tremendous. $25 is great, and even if you're not a big fan of Japanese RPGs, I would say give this one a look. It will probably win you over. Next up, we've got Shadow of the Tomb Raider for $29.99. I should also mention that the Croft Edition is available for $44.99. Croft Edition includes a lot of content with the Season Pass. There's a sizable amount of content in that, so if you want to get the entire experience, I would recommend that. However, the base game for $30 is quite good. I should also add there is a free demo available, so that's something to check out. Shadow of the Tomb Raider really just builds upon the successes of Rise of the Tomb Raider, and we'll get to that in a little bit, because that game is on sale as well, a little bit of a hidden sale, but SOTR is great. $30 is pretty cheap considering this game came out back in September, but it has been plummeting in price. Wouldn't be surprised if it's at $19.99 rather soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Croft Edition gets cheaper and cheaper, or they release like a Game of the Year edition, a Complete Edition, whatever the case may be. But if you've been eyeing SOTR, $30 is definitely not a bad buy. Speaking of which, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year Celebration Edition is one of those hidden sales as a part of the PlayStation Special Sale, and it is down to just $12. I do believe this is the cheapest this game has ever been on the PlayStation Store, and $12 is a great buy. If you're looking to get into Tomb Raider, ROTR is a great starting point, and I do believe this game is a sizable improvement over the initial 2013 title. That game is great as well, and of course it's available on the PlayStation 4 with the Definitive Edition, but Rise of the Tomb Raider just expands the world a little more, adds variety to the content, and I thought the story was rather strong. I thought the story in ROTR was better than SOTR, so that's something to note. And if you've yet to play Rise of the Tomb Raider, $12 for this versus $30 for SOTR. I think you start with this one and then work your way to SOTR. By the time we are done with this game, maybe Shadow will be even cheaper. Moving on from that, this is a game that's held its $19.99 price point for so long, but it's such a great game that it's an easy recommendation. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. $19.99 for this game is great. Yes, I wish it was a little bit cheaper. The Complete Edition came out all the way back in 2016, and it's held up this $20 price point for quite a while. But the Witcher 3 base game is one of the best RPGs released this generation. Many would make the argument for it being the best RPG, and with the Complete Edition, you get the Hearts of Stone expansion, you get Blood and Wine, so you are adding a lot of content on top of the initial game, which the initial game already spans a lot of hours. Storytelling is tremendous, gameplay is strong. $20 is a great buy for this one. Speaking of games that have held up in value, Watch Dogs 2 is down to $17.99, and that's a pretty good deal. It's 70% off. Would like it to be a little bit cheaper, but with Ubisoft games, they get discounted pretty quickly, but then they just kind of hold that $20 price point, or $18 in this case, and they won't go any lower. Look at a game like AC Syndicate. That game is still like $20 on sale on the PlayStation Store. Figure that one out, but Watch Dogs 2 is a great game. There is a pretty lengthy demo for this one available too. I believe it's like 2 to 3 hours, so if you want to check that out for free and then make your decision on whether or not to buy the game, that's a great idea. And Watch Dogs 2, I've said this often, it reminds me a lot of Assassin's Creed 2 in that a lot of people were excited for AC1, but it did have some fundamental errors. AC2 made the game a lot more engaging, a lot more varied, and that's really what we had in Watch Dogs 2. A better story, better world, a lot better gameplay. However, it didn't really seem to resonate with gamers in comparison to AC2. I guess gamers didn't really want to go back and give Watch Dogs another shot, although there were people that checked it out, and usually the sentiment is agreed upon. Watch Dogs 2 is a significant improvement over Watch Dogs 1. If you've been eyeing it for a while, try out the free demo, and then if you enjoy that, $18 for it is a great buy. Another little deal hidden as a part of the PlayStation Store special sale, Wipeout Omega Collection is 70% off for $5.99. This recently had a VR component added into it as well, and this is honestly one of VR's system sellers. I know a lot of people go into this game expecting Wipeout in its fundamental form, and yes, you can experience it like that and have a great time. You got a lot of content here. Wipeout 2048, Wipeout HD Fury, all that good stuff. But then when you throw in VR, man, this experience is just complimented. It's such a shame that Wipeout hasn't resonated more with gamers, because I've always talked about how the PS4 doesn't have a lot of great racing games, but Wipeout is a franchise with a lot of depth to it. I feel like it could be one that with the right promotion, it's just missing that little something, that spark to take it to the next level. Maybe if they promoted that VR element a little bit more, it would have translated more. I don't know why Wipeout isn't more popular, but $6 for the Omega Collection is fantastic. Next up, another game with VR support but playable without VR, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard is 50% off for $14.99. The Gold Edition is available for $24.99. Another game with a free demo. I know everybody's attention is on the Resident Evil 2 remake right now, and rightfully so. That game is awesome, but Resident Evil 7 is a great game as well that didn't see the level of commercial success as RE2, didn't see the level of critical success either, but it's a great game in its own right. Really brought back that survival horror element that Resident Evil was missing for a long time with games like RE6, RE5, and RE4. They did go the more action-oriented route, but RE7 brought back some of the traditional roots, and it's a rather good game, and VR adds another layer to it. Some people prefer the game with standard controls, some people prefer it with VR. Really, it varies from person to person. I personally enjoyed the game with traditional controls, but VR added a cool layer to it, and $15 for RE7 would definitely give that a recommendation. Alright, the following titles are VR exclusive games, so if you want to tune out at this point, feel free. But starting things off, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR is $49 40% off down to $35.99. Another game that's really held up in value. This released back in 2017, and at this point you probably bought Skyrim a couple times. Skyrim has been released on just about everything. Love that little meme video that Bethesda put out back at E3, but Skyrim in VR is actually rather good. It's a new way to experience Skyrim. Yes, it's fundamentally Skyrim, it's what you would expect, but playing through it again in VR is definitely a great time, and this is the complete version of Skyrim. You have all the downloadable content here. $36 for a game that is essentially, what, 7.5 years old at this point? Yeah, that might be a tough pill to swallow, but you get all the DLC, you get VR. It's a pretty cool buy. Borderlands 2 VR follows a similar path in that it was just released back in December, but this was a game that originally released, what, back in 2012? Just made the transition to VR, and it is 25% off for $37.49. Again, this is such an old game that dropping $37.50 might be a hard pill to swallow, but Borderlands 2 is great. They added some new mechanics specifically for VR. Look, Borderlands 2 is such a great game. You probably played it at some point in your life, and if you enjoyed it and you want to revisit it, playing through it in VR is great, but I definitely get it is a high price, and I could see why gamers would want to wait a little bit longer. Maybe at that $24.99 price point, I think it would be a great buy. However, this is the first discount we've seen on it, so I did want to give that a shout. Man, VR games just hold up their value for quite a while, because the next one, Astrobot Rescue Mission, widely considered to be the best VR game ever released. This just came out back in October, and it's a brand new game, unlike Borderlands. So of course, it's gonna be priced a little bit higher, but it is 20% off for $31.99. Many will point to this game as a VR system seller, and I can definitely see why. It is a tremendously designed platformer. Some people went as far as to say that it was the Super Mario 64 of this generation. I don't know if I would go that far, but I would say that it was a defining app for PlayStation VR, and there were a lot of games released on PSVR, but I don't believe any of them broke the 90 threshold on Metacritic until Astrobot Rescue Mission, so that kind of goes to show how great of a game it is. Yes, it's still expensive at $32, but if you have PlayStation VR, you kind of owe it to yourself to play this one. And lastly, I'll round out the list with a cheap VR offering. Super Stardust Ultra VR is available for $4.99. I was a big fan of Super Stardust. I thought it was one of the great games on the PlayStation 3 with Super Stardust HD. And now we have Super Stardust Ultra in VR. A little bit different than your traditional Super Stardust game, especially in presentation. With it being a VR game, it had to be a little bit different, but at $5, if you enjoyed Super Stardust, if you enjoy shoot-'em-ups, and it does have a low barrier in terms of price entry, unlike all of the other VR-specific games that I did want to mention it. And that is going to conclude this video. That recaps all our coverage of the PlayStation Essential Sale and the PlayStation Special Sale. I hope you guys enjoyed, because we broke down a lot of it, but the PlayStation Store seems to be running great sales every week, so there's always something new to check out. But that's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.